Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe. Game is designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is the German diplomatic disaster series, the next video in line. We will be starting with October. We had already rolled the weather at the end of September, and I had managed to roll low once for the mild zone, so I have fair weather again. So with that in mind, I did a little bit of checking back on my history of this and found that I think I've only pulled a German political success, a pro marker, once in 12 turns since September of 39. So that kind of sets the tone for what's been going on with the Germans, besides the fact that Italy is activated against them. So forward we go. There was no declaration of war. We go into the economy phase. Oops, don't want that on that side. So we'll pull that up over there so you can just see us move the counters around. Oh, and then we went into strategic warfare. There was no counters to be played. So it was just a straight die roll, and the Germans rolled poorly, so they end up coming up one down, one more lost factory. Strategic movement. This was I had to move the guy that I had put in Aachen, thinking I would go and help garrison these things, and then when we counted, he could actually run an Italian army up to capture Vienna. So I had to rail somebody over there, and I figured I'd send a garrison that was behind the lines. Now, in the Western phase, he had to think a bit about this because there's a couple schools of thought. You could rail away the Malta unit so that I'd have to defeat one of these French units to get a no enemy zone of control to move into Dijon. Or he can strategically move the guy that has the marker on it right now, down through Italy and wherever he wants to into France, just to give himself a retreat route. So then I would not have, a no enemy zone of control because somebody could retreat if I take the hex or whatever. And so he thought about it, and we were like looking around on what to do here. And I think he ended up moving back to Dijon. Or not Dijon, to Lyon. To prevent any kind of breakthrough to the south. So, Soviets didn't have one. We went into Axis operations. Now, can't have the French Air Force interfering here, so I went after his airplane down in Vichy. It's a -2 to a -4. I rolled a 4, so net of -2, net of 2, he was at a 1, so each took 1, and then we just rang him up. Because when we're both at 1 sortie, it doesn't matter what you roll. It's going to come out to 1 sortie each. We then highlighted that, and then I tried again at Metz, hoping to get a 2-for-1 split here, and it didn't work. I rolled a 2, and he rolled a 5, so again, just had to get the French Air Force out of the way. So now we go to me activating the 1st Panzer, and I attack the Malta garrison unit. And I think we're going to combat commitment. It's kind of obvious we're both going to commit. I put in my airplane, he put in his tanks and his British aircraft. I'm at -2. He was at -1 because of his sorties. He automatically put a sortie on his thing, and I told him no, you gotta wait till we roll the dice. And then I rolled a net 1, and he rolled a net 5, so I ended up taking 2 sorties. He only took 1. So that puts us back. He's at +3 because he's -1. He's +1 for British, -2 for reduced, +2 for tanks, +2 for fighter command. So that puts him at a net of +3. And I am start off at 6 and then -1 for the city. So +5 to +3. I rolled a grand total of 10, and he rolled a grand total of 9. So that didn't work. So I spent 3 more and attacked again. This time I'm only at +3, but he can only put in an airplane, so he's at a net +1, which he does. And I only managed to roll a total of 5. He rolled a 7, which is just enough to keep it as a diamond. I was really afraid he was going to get an attack or stop there. And so I go down to my last attack on the city. He went and threw his airplane in again. I rolled a 7, and he finally rolled a net of 4, so he was retreated. And this is the advantage. Because he rolled a retreat, he could move. If he had left his unit there, the guy would have died. So the Maltese, the Knights of Malta have held up against the 1st Panzer for almost the entire month of October. So that took him down from 5 to 3 will. So I'm getting closer to taking out the French. And we go onwards here. Get this off the map. So then I decided to do something a little different. I was trying to figure out a way to do this. So I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8 attacks the 1st French army. So I am currently at +2, and he's at +1. He chose not to. I don't have anything to commit. He didn't commit his tank at this point. I rolled a 7, and he rolled a net 4. If he'd have thrown his tanks, he would not have been flipped here. But he didn't, and so I managed to flip him. He is not in the fort. He came out last turn to attack out, trying to kill the 1st Panzer, which they didn't manage to do. And in the guy that's in the Metz square, he did go back in the fort. So, what did I do next? Then I activated this infantry over here next to Stuttgart. Went 1, 2, and then I think it's 3, 4 to attack the 6. That left me with 4 movement points left. Again, he did not play his tanks. I think he was waiting for the final battle. He was thinking I was going to go after Calais. I think he was trying to think of holding on to Calais. So +2 to +1, I have a net of 7. And again, a net of 4. So another flipped infantry unit. I attack him again. He starts off at a -1 to my +2. He didn't play again, but I only rolled a 3. But his 2 -1 is a 1, so that's just enough to take out that infantry unit. And then I chose not to take that hex. Instead, I went over here. I don't know. I end up there either way, I think, because I couldn't attack the multi-unit. Didn't have enough movement points left. So by moving 2 over here, I thought about how I wanted to do it. Either way, I end up there. And we did take down his will down to 2. So now he's got, I have to kill 2 units or take Calais. That's what he was saving the tank for, is thinking I was going to take Calais. So I decided to go after this -1 guy. Basically, I'm trying to get him to use his tanks before I go after Calais. And he's not biting, I don't think, if I remember right. I'm a net of +1 because I'm coming across the river. And it cost me 3 movement points to do that. I rolled a net of, he didn't play the tanks again, so now I have a net of 5 + 1 is 6. And a 4 minus 1 is 3, so it's just enough to force a retreat, which he can't do, so he's eliminated. The fort goes away. I take the hex, and then I go ahead and attack the 6th army next, I believe. And now I started off, because he's now isolated, because I got rid of the guy that was adjacent to him, I started off at +4. He started off at +1, then I had to take 1 away for the river. And he's down to 1 will point, so I only have to get this last infantry unit. And he put in his tanks marker at this point. He's like, okay, down to the last will point, got to try and fight for it. So I rolled a best dry roll I could get. 6 plus 3 is a 9. And he rolled a 3 plus 3, which is a 6. So that still forced him to flip. And then I was like, okay, forgot to mark my guys as activated. And he was still thinking I was going to go after Calais, and I said, no, I'm going to go 1, 2, and then 3, 4. And then I'm attacking at +4 to -1. I got a 10 to his 5. He's forced to retreat, which he can't do, so he's gone. So now we go through the conquered phase of the French. So you're going to see a bunch of French units disappear. I think he was taking off the units on the map, and I was taking them off the turn track and stuff. So I think that was, oh. Yeah, this is me taking things off the turn, the variable entry. And then I got to put a pro marker in the diplomacy cup. And then I had a pro marker to place. Now, in retrospect, I probably should have, as bad as I've been playing with the diplomacy cup, I probably should have just activated Finland and been done with it. But I was hoping for a little bit of luck and went ahead and placed it down. What I'm doing here. Oh, and I placed it over here in Belgrade. So my hopes was I'd pull a pro marker in the diplomacy phase, and then Yugoslavia would activate. Now Italy has, you know, not only the Alps, but they also have to worry about this river line over here. Trieste's, you know, possibility of being invaded or whatever. And now he gets to place his free forces and his partisans because France has been taken down. And I think that's that. Now I still had 4 movement points left with this guy. Oh, and I got my Alsace-Lorraine, so factory count went up 1. And I got my garrison unit into the eliminated box. We got rid of the factory count for the French. I picked up 8 will points. Woohoo. And where did I send this? Oh, and then I went ahead and pulled out the miners, the Vichy miners and stuff. And then he had to fly his airplane out of Vichy. It gets repatriated. So he chose to put it next to Liverpool in the north, which, okay. Then I moved this infantry down to be there to keep the Malta garrison trapped. Then I went next, if I remember right. Oh, I was placing control markers for him for the west. Then I activated this garrison unit that's sitting in Sedan. Went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and made the British fleet go away. So I went back to Plymouth and took sorties. And then I activated the 2nd Panzer. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he can attack the Western Desert Force at +6. And the best he can do is get a +3 by throwing in his airplane. I don't even know if he did it. He didn't even bother to throw in his airplane. He figured it was a lost cause. So then I rolled a 4 + 6 is a 10 to a 3 + 1, which is a total of 4. 10 to a 4 is a DD result. So if he'd thrown in his airplane, I would have had to attack him again. But he didn't, so it went away. British wills goes down. I killed two British armies, my conquest of France. And I still had 4 movement points left. So I went ahead and took Nantes. And then I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Took Brest, which is the important one for strategic warfare. Home fleet, I think he sent it all the way up to, yeah, he went to Edinburgh. Yeah, he took the control marker with him somehow. For some reason, the control markers are picking up when you select an entire stack. I didn't see that one coming. Then I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. And I decided that's not what I wanted to do. I moved a different garrison into Calais, and then I moved into Antwerp. That was to prevent him from doing an end run type of invasion with these guys. He might have gone ahead and sent the BEF into Antwerp because I really don't have anything to deal with it. And I just didn't want to give him the choice. And then I was done because if you look at I'm right at 14, so that's all 3 airplanes and then 5 for diplomacy. So I kind of had to stop there. And I believe at this point, so he's going to activate the BEF. He's trying to send it somewhere. Not sure exactly where. But it goes into C-Zone 7. It's escorted by the fleet, and this convoy is being escorted by the fleet. I went ahead and threw my surface action marker. I thought, maybe I get lucky here with extreme die rolls, and, he ends his activation still in England. And then it's a turn delay before I have to deal with that British army. So we went and set it. I'm at +1, and he's at a net 0. He's +2 for British Navy, -2 for sorties. I rolled a 5 + 1 is a 6, and he rolled a net of a 3. He should have been at 2. Either way, it's 2 sorties, and I get through. So now I have a sortie on me, so I'm only at a 0. And then I'm attacking the British convoy, who's -2 for convoy, +2 for British, and then -1 for sorties. So he's a net of -1, which just kind of went through the mechanics of counting it there. And then I rolled a 1. So I had a chance, and I failed miserably. He rolled a 3, so I ended up taking 2 more sorties. So now it's going to be 4 turns before I get back. And then the whole stack goes off moving. He's counting his points, and he couldn't quite get where he wanted to go. If I remember right, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He just barely made it to the Adriatic Sea and put his unit down there. And I don't know if he attacked with the Italians or not. So that's how he protected Trieste from any kind of Yugoslavian activation or anything. Now he's going to move some Italians around here. Declared an assault so that he could and threw his tanks marker and an airplane. And he ended up at a net +3. He's 1 for a guy, 2 more for buddies, and then 4 more for airplane and tank. So he ends up at a net +4 because it's -1 for the rough terrain, -1 for the ridge lines. And I'm only at a +2. He rolled a net of 8. I managed to roll a net of 9, so that just kind of stopped that. It should have been a 5 + 2, which is actually a 7. I made a note here because I didn't change. I hit the attacker die roll instead of the defender die roll. So I made a note that it was actually 5 + 2, which was 7. An 8 to a 7 is still the same result, no effect. So, and he's tried to move the Italian army into Switzerland. And then I pointed out to him if he moves up there, he would be out of supply because he can't trace through Yugoslavia. And he said, well, then I won't do that. I'll just do an assault here. He's in a net +1, +2. He's been winning those. He rolled a 6 this time, and I rolled a net of an 8, so that just stopped that. And then he did a single attack. He ends up at +0 here. Oh no, he moved this army back to Venice. I think he's thinking I'm going to, start staging some kind of a breakthrough. And he moved this Italian garrison over a bit. So there you have it. That was that. The Knights of Malta go into low supply because they can't trace through Vichy. I believe he just used up this is me doing my replacements, bring back my airplanes. So now we're in the west. I think he's resetting his airplanes in England. And then he flipped over his ground unit down in Italy, I believe is what he did here. Yeah, BEF is now flipped face up. And then he spent 3 more to do, not sure what. Oh, he left him up, left the England one up so that he could do the naval unit down here. He wanted to get his convoy. And we went into the Russians. They aren't doing anything. Mobilization. Nobody had anything to build except the Germans. And I don't think that I did. The Soviets got... I think he's already doing end turn phase. I don't know what he was doing. Playing around on the faction card. So then we went to the diplomacy phase. Not sure if I just pulled or if I showed. Yeah, I was just looking. It's like a 1 in 4 shot. And I said, well, I'm going to make it so that maybe there's a chance that the Allies fail. And then went to the west, and I'm not sure. Believe he stuck a political success and a no event in. And then the Russians pulled out the no event. So we go to end of turn phase. This is me just we're getting stuff off the November track going onto our tracks down here. Oh, I skipped right through the weather. Sorry. Went into the weather phase. Weather track player aid. Oh, there's the die roll. 564. So that's severe, severe, and stayed in poor. So, because we were on the November-October fair for the mild zone, guaranteed that it was going to be at best poor. It turned out to be severe. So we didn't do a declaration of war. This is us just setting up our points again into the economy phase. Went to strategic warfare. Now I'm at a +2, and he should be at a 0. And I rolled a 5 plus 2 is a 7. He rolled a 2, so basically we swapped positions. He went up 1, I went down 1. And strategic movement, I can't remember if I even did one here. Oh, I had pointed out that I knew that he spent the points on the Italian aircraft, but he forgot to take his sorties off. So we let him put that back where it should be. Same thing for the Italian fleet. I didn't have a strategic movement. I'm not sure he did either. I think we just... Oh, he moved the Russian army up to Viborg. Because I pointed out to him that if he only gets 2 units and he really needs to, if he guards Viborg, he leaves a road open out of Finland into Russia. So we're in the operations phase. Okay, this is me. I think I activated the 2nd Panzer because I wanted to get Bordeaux. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like I just couldn't quite get back to the rail line in the north. So I had to be content with that. I moved this garrison around to take Cherbourg. I was checking his airplanes, I think. Realized that the 2nd Luft could get wackerdoodled. So I moved it down to Dijon. If he wants to whack me now, he's got to fly the Italian air over. Moving him down here to worried about with my diplomacy that I need to have something available on the Spanish-French border down here. So getting an infantry headed that way. What else did I do here? Set up as if I was going to go after Vichy. I had these 2 guys attack to see if I could get lucky I was +3, -2 because of the terrain. And I don't think he even bothered to, he couldn't fly his airplane or play a tank, so it was +1 to 0. So if I get a lucky split, I can like retreat him and take back the hex or something. That didn't work. I rolled a 6 + 1, he rolled a 6. So that just wasted our time. Then I was done. I said, okay, I'm done. I had 18 left. Yeah, because I was 9 and then 4 to, I have in my faction card, I've got 4 points to build. So this would let me replenish my airplanes, build my 4 guys, and still be able to play in the Diplomacy Cup, which was the whole idea here. So he went into the West. I'm not sure if he did much of anything. I think he moved that airplane up to where his fleet and convoy were. And he knew he didn't, all he had to do was move the convoy. And he started moving it around and ended up landing in Naples. He tried to go into Rome, and I said, that's not a port. So he went to Naples. Then he flew the airplane up to Venice so that it would be available in the future. And then he took his convoy that was in Palermo and moved it back up to Belfast. And then flew his airplane over there. Thought about it, said, nah, I won't bother. And I'm not sure what this is doing. Oh, he brought the fleets back to Liverpool because he's going to pick up his Western Desert Force next turn, I think. Now he moves the Italian garrison out of Turin down to the Vichy-Italian border. And initially he moved this infantry over there, and then when he thought about it, he's like, wait a minute. The British can't attack anyway, so basically we let him do a retcon here. When we counted, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's 11 to attack the 7th because you have to add a +1 for poor weather when you attack a unit. So he was 1 movement point short, and so he asked me, can I take this move back? And I said, sure. So he put this guy back there, went there, and basically just put the British on that border. And then moved this garrison back to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He couldn't attack with him. And I'm not sure. I don't think he even attacked. I think he just said, I'm done. Did his supply and said, we're done. We went to the Soviets, and I think he actually moved, like, the 6th Army there. He moved it into the Bend in Latvia, because that's a good defensive spot. And I'm not sure he did anything else. Nope. 45th Army he moved up somewhere. I'm not sure where it went. Oh, he moved the 45th Army to this rail junction. Okay, and then we're in the no supply phase. That's not going to happen. We go to operations phase. Oh, in this no supply phase, something did have to happen. At the end of his turn, this Malta guy became no supply. I think we go back here. Yeah, I go back to... So he's now at no supply, and then when you get to the no supply phase for the West, he has to come off because he would be reduced. So he goes into his eliminated box to be built next turn. Then I replaced my airplanes. He replaced his British airplanes, I believe. He did his... I'm really confused as to what we were doing here. Oh, he's repairing himself up in England. That's what he was doing. And... yes. Okay. When we get into the mobilization for the Axis, I'm building all three of my guys. Not sure I set them down. So I put the armored unit there. Put a garrison over there to help with the whole port situation. And put the infantry unit, because I didn't spend a point to move the guy out of Vienna, I had to put him up here in, what is that? Prague. So he won't, he's reduced, so he's really not all that effective right now. The West built the Western Desert Force, of course, over in Liverpool. And then we were done. Now we go to the diplomacy phase. And it should be like 2 in 7 chance for me to get a political success. And so we took a quick look at the cup. It's like I have 2 political successes, 2 area Cs, 2 no events, 1 political failure, 2 in 7 shot. So it seemed like a good thing to go ahead and take it, see if I can get Yugoslavia in the war. And I pulled the political failure. So the Germans' diplomatic failures continue. Needless to say, this was like a no-brainer for him. Poof. So Yugoslavia is not leaning towards the Germans anymore. Then the West went and pulled a political success. And he thought about tinkering with, bringing some of the Balkans in or whatever. But then he looked up here and just said, why don't we make it so that you don't have Finland either? So there's no northern threat to the Russian army. I tried to talk him out of it, telling him, well, you'll never get those 2 Russian northern armies because, unless you do the declaration of war or whatever, once Russia comes in. But, and then Russia pulled the pro-Axis marker. So now there's only 2 areas seized and 2 no events in the cup. All the positive things for either Germany or, whoever are out. The cup is basically empty except for Russian adventurism. So we moved. We double checked. Yep. Only areas seized and no events. So we're just catching up on the turns here. Get to the end of turn phase. I believe the only thing that comes in is something. Yeah. The Germans get their submarines back, and they get a panzer to build again next turn. Again, we are playing with variable entries, so things aren't coming in their historical time frames. They come in based on die rolls. For those of you that are wondering why does it look so weird? And we just kind of moved things down. We went to the weather phase, and we rolled, and I got a 3-4-4. So to end this off, 3-4-4 in December is poor, poor, poor. So poor everywhere, which is about the best you can hope for December through February. You might get a 1 in the warm zone, but not likely. So poor weather is probably the best I can hope for in most cases. And I believe that will be the turn. Oh, I think I was showing him. He was looking at, oh, you're going to come after Vichy. And so we kind of looked at how would you, what's the Vichy forces? You got 4 of them. It's like, how do you set up? We were playing around with it a little bit. And we just said, we should just probably end this. It was getting late. So there you have it. German diplomatic disasters continue. I have managed to get Romania in the war, but I don't have any way to get to Romania. Hungary's not leaning my way. Yugoslavia's not leaning my way. I have no pro markers to, push anybody my way. Things are just not looking good. And there's still a chance that the Russians might, besides their area Cs, they start putting political successes. The West puts political success in. Russia pulls it. They can activate Turkey. So, I'm in a world of hurt on the diplomatic front with the Germans. Whether I go after Vichy or not, I'm still debating on if that's even worth it, or do I just put a holding action in the Italian front along the Alps there, try and push them back some, and just do a holding action here and just run off to try and conquer Russia. I will be short some infantry to be able to do that. I won't have my normal allotment. The British have absolutely nothing to keep them busy, so they will definitely be in here helping the Italians. So, yeah, I'm kind of torn on what my best options are. I'll make the decision before we play again. But as of right now, that's where we stand. So, I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Please hit that like button so we help the YouTube algorithm keep my videos up for everybody to watch. And, until next time, stay safe and bye-bye.